He's an 8-time Louisiana Association of Broadcasters Award winner. And he snapped a ball through his legs.
Wait, why does your name get that?
I don't know. This is Scone and T.
Because they made us.
All right, what's up, good people? Welcome in to Scone and T. Actually, just Scone. We're here at Oliver Twist. I'm here at Oliver Twist. T-Bob off tonight for good reason. Last time we were here, T-Bob was a mere 36 hours away from becoming a dad times 3. And for those that have not heard, very happy to let you know that Caitlin did awesome, and baby Bobby Joseph Hebert IV did in fact arrive on Friday morning, and fired up for the whole Hebert family. T-Bob got his son Bobby IV, and mom and baby are doing great, and that's awesome to hear. So T-Bob out for this week. I'm riding solo, but really happy to be here. If you're watching live on YouTube or Facebook, thank you so much. YouTube, please smash that like button. And Facebook, please like the 104.5 ESPN page, share the post. And if you're listening or watching on demand, thank you as well. As I remind you, all those who are listening on demand, please subscribe up to the pod on your favorite podcast app. So thank you. We're at Oliver Twist and fired up to be here. We know LSU's bowl destination now. They'll take on Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. We got a ton to talk about over the next hour. Because there's no T-Bob, that's going to give me a lot of opportunity to get to you here on the show tonight. So keep your comments coming on YouTube or Facebook. For a while in quarantine, I did a show called Nightcap with Scone. It started during quarantine when, as I said, when nobody doing nothing. So we would fire up a live stream, have a pour of something, and we would just talk for as long as y'all had questions or comments. And this show replaced that for me. So maybe we'll go back and do that format a little bit. So anything you want to talk about, join us, fire away. We appreciate you for being there with us here on Scone and T from Oliver Twist. LSU loses the SEC championship game to Georgia. They'll take on Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. And Jeff Brom, the Purdue head coach, has now left Purdue to take the Louisville job. That's his alma mater. Many of you probably know that. 4 years ago, when Scott Satterfield got that job, Purdue pursued Brom, who is from Louisville, played high school ball in Louisville, played for the University of Louisville. He's in their Ring of Honor, and went on a long coaching journey, was the head coach at Purdue for 2 years. When the Louisville job came open, thought his work at Purdue wasn't finished, so he returned, and now with Scott Satterfield leaving, it's the right time for Brom to leave Purdue. But that leaves Purdue very compromised, and that game opened at a 5-point, LSU was a 5-point favorite as it opened. And as the word from Monday started to spread that Brom was likely going to take that job and ultimately took that job, that line has gone all the way to 10 now as we sit here on Wednesday evening. So LSU, a pretty significant favorite over Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. And honestly, I think it's a great opportunity for LSU because, look, what was the big kind of concern we talked about after the A&M loss? Going into that game, we were looking at it going, man, you beat A&M, a 4-win team. You have a 10-win regular season. You assure yourself of either a Sugar Bowl or Orange Bowl berth at worst. Best case scenario, you're in the playoff. Either way, tons of reason to be excited. LSU fans are going to be jacked about whatever postseason destination there was. And then you lose to A&M, and the fear became, when we talked about it here, was, man, you lose to A&M, you lose to Georgia because you're a heavy underdog, which you did. And then if you're really disinterested in a bowl game, then you lose 3 in a row at the end of the season. You finish 9-5, and that's all of a sudden not as appealing. Well, now that's kind of flipped on its head. You're a decided favorite against Purdue. I don't know what type of crowd is going to be there in Orlando on January the 2nd. And quite honestly, I don't really care. What I really want is for LSU to have a great performance in the bowl game and build toward the future. So LSU against Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. Tigers are a 10-point favorite. The other big thing here this week, of course, is the transfer portal opened up on Monday. So we're starting to get a lot of news about LSU's roster moving into the future. I want to talk about that in a second. We'll say some what's up to everybody who's watching live. Thad Landry, Breezy Bro, Bob Poole, Kelly Gross, Charlotte Terrell, good morning. I said good morning. It's not morning. It's 7 o'clock at night. Caleb, Trivia Carter, what's up? Von Bluesman, appreciate y'all for being here. Hamilton Keener, Dustin Blanchard, Strong Side, U-Haul. What's going on, man? We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. Drop those comments in. We'll get to them. So, and if y'all have questions about transfer portal or NIL stuff, I'm happy to tell you what I know here on the pod. But let me just run through the portal stuff to catch up as we all give you an opinion on each. Found out on Monday that Kayshawn was returning. Did not know that. And I will tell you that I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of LSU's collective. For those that don't know, LSU's collective is it hasn't fundraised as well as they had initially hoped when they organized it. The target had been to generate $5 million into the collective. They are somewhere between $2 and $3 million. And when money gets paid out into from the collective to student athletes for whatever NIL opportunities, generally I find out about it. What I can tell you is, as of Monday or as of the weekend, Kayshawn hadn't gotten an NIL opportunity to state. Now maybe that's changed since, and I'll do my damnedest to find out. But I think for Kayshawn Boutte, a couple things are the reality. Number one, I was told by an agent, obviously has clients and all, works with scouts and look for draft projections for their clients and athletes and everything, that Kayshawn was looking at a third-round grade, that there were scouts that had him and teams that had him dropping to a third round because of some of the perceived attitude stuff from the beginning of the year, the drop in production, all that stuff. So if you're Kayshawn, you can look at it and you can say, okay, well, then there's reason to come back, right? If you go into this past season thinking you're going to be a top half of round one guy, like let's look this up real quick. If you look at NFL draft slot value, so for 2023, here's the slot values. Let's say Kayshawn would have been the 10th pick of the draft, hypothetically. Slot value for the 10th pick of the draft is a $21 million contract, and you get $13 million at signing. That's for this coming draft in 2023, okay? Let's say he would have dropped to even the first pick of round 3. The slot value contract for the first pick of round 3, if that's where Kayshawn had fallen, waiting for this to load. And it's not loading, so my apologies for that. Hang on. All right, let me do 2022, just so I can give you a comp. I'm sorry, just bear with me here. All right, so the first pick of round 3 in this most recent draft was Luke Fortner to the Jaguars out of Kentucky, the center out of Kentucky. His contract value was $5.5 million. The signing bonus was $1.1. So think if you're Kayshawn, right, you're looking at the top half of round 1 deal where you're getting $13 million to sign. If you go as the first pick of round 3, your signing bonus is $1.1 million. It's a $12 million nut that you got to crack. So I can understand if you're Kayshawn saying, fuck that, I'm going to come back to school for another year, try to increase my draft stock. I'm going to put on, I'm going to get straight, and I'm going to go make a whole bunch of money. And in that instance, it makes sense for Kayshawn to come back, which is what I think he was looking at. So Kayshawn announces he's coming back, which was a tremendous surprise. I think a great thing for the program. And then as you look at the next day, Jack Besh announced he entered the portal. Jack's season was just a really unfortunate one in that he was injured in fall camp. Obviously, look, Jack was kind of one of the breakout stars of his freshman year. Where when Kayshawn had the injury against Kentucky, it opened up opportunity for other guys. And guys like Malik Neighbors and Jack Besh fully took advantage of it. And Jack had a really good freshman season. And so expectation built coming into this year. Well, Jack got hurt in fall camp, had the shin, the stress fracture in his shin. I don't mind saying it was also told he had a concussion during fall camp, which kept him out for a bit as well. And then other guys just passed it. And this coaching staff came in with not playing favorites. There were no prejudices when they came here. They were evaluating the talent. And Jack got hurt early and missed a lot of camp, and it opened up the door for a lot of guys and the opportunity for other players. And so they took advantage of that. And Jack saw his reps go down, and then you could understand why he's just looking around saying, okay, well, Kayshawn's coming back now. Malik Neighbors had a great season. Brian Thomas is coming back. Chris Hilton's coming off of injury. You're bringing in guys like Shelton Sampson and Jalen Brown. we saw Mason Taylor emerge as a pass catcher. It's going to be harder to get targets. So I can understand why Jack would say, all right, I'm going to go, even though he's a Louisiana guy who, was initially committed to Vanderbilt until he got the LSU offer, immediately flipped, wanted to be a Tiger. We've talked about the possibility of Jack and Walker Howard making that combo that they had at St. Thomas More, in the purple and gold. And so I get it, though. If you're Jack, you can look and say, man, I can go somewhere else and be the number one guy and put good tape on and maybe be in the pros in 16 months. So I do understand, as much as it sucks, Jackson is an LSU and a fan favorite and a really, really great player, but I can understand why. And they, when they tried to get him on the field, of course, they gave him opportunities in the return game. He muffed the opening kickoff against Tennessee, and then went to the bench, lost that opportunity. So I get it. Looking for another opportunity. And then we learned a couple of others real quick, and then we'll get to your questions. Jay Ward is declared for the draft. Remember, Jay Ward went through senior day, so this isn't a surprise. But Ward declared for the draft. He said he will play in the bowl game, which is great. And he's also accepted an invite to the Senior Bowl. Ward's had an interesting career. He came in 2019. As a freshman, played in 12 games, and primarily, played a lot in special teams and as a reserve, but LSU just kicked the shit out of a lot of people, so a lot of young guys got a chance to play a lot. So Jay Ward was one of those who played a lot in a backup role in his freshman year, and in 2020 he was awesome. He just made so many big plays in that COVID year. The juggling interception on the sideline in the Florida game in the fog. He blocked a field goal against Arkansas in 2020, and that was a close game. Remember, that was the game where Finley threw the game-winning touchdown pass in that drizzling rain. And Ward, the final of that was 27-24. LSU won by 3, and Ward blocked a field goal in that game. The Ole Miss game in the rain to finish the regular season, Jay Ward had 2 picks in that game, including a pick 6. So he had some major plays from the cornerback spot in 2020, and then because the roster kind of fell the way it did in 2021, he ended up moving from corner to safety. So he proved his versatility. He could play safety, he could play corner, he could play nickel, he could play dime, and he was a team guy as well. So Jay Ward's going to have a great opportunity. I think he'll probably end up a day 2 draft pick, but you lose Jay Ward, and now really the decision. You also lose Raydarius Jones and Demarius McGee, and remember, those were the only 2 guys that were corners on the team a year ago that returned this season, and neither played. Raydarius Jones was suspended, missed the entire season. Demarius McGee played in 1 game, I think 2 snaps, and that was it for the season. And so you knew those guys weren't going to those guys didn't play at all. They weren't going to be back, so they're in the portal as well. If really what you're waiting on now, and this is pretty common how LSU does this and has done this over the years, because you have a 45-day portal window. You'll allow each guy their day, right? So Kayshawn had his day on Monday. Jack Besh had his day on Tuesday. Jay Ward had his day today on Wednesday. We're waiting on B.J. Ojulari, who's likely going to announce to the draft. We're waiting on Jaquelin Roy and some others. But I'll tell you this. The secondary, I think, is really, really critical, because you're looking at, you're losing Joe Fouché, you're losing Jay Ward, you're losing Jarek Bernard-Converse, you're losing Colby Richardson. But you have a bunch of guys who have the option to come back for a super senior season. Greg Brooks has played 4 years. He can come back for another year. Mekhi Garner, he could come back for a 6th season. He played in JUCO in 2018. He redshirted in 2019. Everybody got the free year in 2020, and then he played at ULL in 21 and then LSU in 22. So if he wants to play a 6th season, he can come back and play at LSU in 2023 and be a starter on the outside. So Garner's a big one. Brooks is a big one. Is Seven Banks coming back? That's a big one. So we're going to wait and get those decisions from those guys if they're going to take advantage of a super senior year. And then obviously on the interior, want to see what Jaquelin Roy and Jacobian Guillory do. I think their roles on this team next year would be massive if you had Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo, Jaquelin Roy, Jacobian Guillory. If you had that rotation on the interior of the defensive line, I think that would just be massive. So that's kind of where they are right now on the roster, on the transfer portal, who they're waiting on. And I know I've told you what positions that they're looking for. They're certainly going to add a tight end. Offensively, they're certainly going to add a tight end. I think you should fully be expecting to see some of the veteran backup offensive linemen enter the portal. And you could name some of the names and figure it out. The guys who have been hanging around for 2 and 3 years who haven't played, you're probably going to lose those guys. So expect LSU to look for veteran depth on the offensive line in the portal. If there is a dynamic running back, they may take him. I've been told they want a speedster, stretch the field, deep threat receiver. So don't be surprised if they add a receiver. A quarterback could be a target depending on what happens with Daniels and Nuss. Defensively, they're going to add an edge player. They certainly have to add corners, and they'll probably add a safety as well. So that's where they'll be looking in the targets that they'll have this year in the portal. Numbers, you're probably looking at about 25 high school players, 8 and 10 college players through the portal. So as they sort of build the roster for next year. All right. I want to get to a lot of your questions, so we'll run through all this. Fire away. If you're on YouTube watching live, thank you so much. 134 watching live as we speak. Please smash that like button. Subscribe up to the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Let's see. We're here at Oliver Twist. Tomorrow is the Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle. So we're recording this. We're live on Wednesday. Thursday is the Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle. So if you're here with us live or you're watching this before Thursday, please keep in mind tickets will be on sale at either Calandro's location until 4:30 on Thursday. The raffle is live at 6:30 on this YouTube channel. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, this is how you can watch the raffle on Thursday at 6:30. We'll be live in the 104.5 ESPN studio. Oliver Twist is going to be hosting a watch party. So if you're interested in some fellowship and community and having a good time on Thursday, you can come to Oliver Twist for the watch party. They will have no less than 8 reps on site doing samples and all these different vendor stuff, which will be really, really cool. The other thing that they're doing that's going to be awesome here is they're going to be doing a ton of break-even pours. So every week when we're here for Scone and Tea, one of the cool things they do are break-even pour every week. So this is 291 barrel-proof single barrel. It's a Colorado bourbon finished with Aspenwood staves, a 126 proof. This is pretty damn decorated. Icons of Whiskey, Craft Producer of the Year in 2022, double gold in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition. I can tell you, when you win gold in the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, that's generally when the word gets out about you, and then you become harder to find and the price goes up. So I have not had this yet. I poured a little bit. It's 126 proof, so, oh, man. You do get a lot of maple on this nose as well. I'm going to let that open up a little bit more, but we'll get into it. So you can see all the stickers here, very decorated, and apparently this rep is going to be here tomorrow as well at Oliver Twist. Here's the break-even bottles for the watch party tomorrow. Okay, Elijah Craig 18, Russell's Reserve 13, Jefferson's Ocean, Kentucky Owl Rye, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. They put Lock, Stock, and Barrel twice. Oh, the Lock, Stock, and Barrel 16, and then Lock, Stock, and Barrel 18. Weller 12. Weller Special Reserve, Eagle Rare, and Blands. You can drink Blands for $5 tomorrow night, y'all. So the official Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle watch party right here at Oliver Twist on Thursday. They'll have the screens in here. We'll be showing the raffle as we draw names live and all that sort of stuff. You have great opportunities for break-even pours. So you can watch at your house or you come watch here and eat their great food. Of course, Oliver Twist, man, Chef did an awesome job putting this menu together. I think these are boudin balls that they have here. I'm not positive, but the food here at Oliver Twist is great. It's on Perkins, right near Essen. It's right behind Solu, if you know where we are in Baton Rouge. So y'all come hang out here any day for lunch, any night, but especially on Thursday for the Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle. And please, please, please snag your tickets for the 11th annual Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle. 122 bottles in the raffle, and all the proceeds raised from the ticket sales are going to go to the 4Kids Foundation, which sort of acts as an intermediary. They benefit multiple Louisiana children's charities throughout the state, and then St. Lillian Academy as well, which is where my son goes to school. It's very near and dear to me and our family. It's a school for special needs children, which does an incredible job serving special needs kiddos in our community. And I'll tell you this, one more tangential editorialized comment, if I could, before we get back to you. Like, my goal in life is I would love to be at a point where I can help that school be fully endowed, meaning any child with special needs will be able to attend that school no matter of opportunity or ability to pay. If you have or know people with special needs kiddos, you know the challenges, the blessing, but the challenges that we go through. And St. Lillian has been an amazing resource for me, for my family, for Drew, and we've seen our son flourish because of that place. And I feel so good knowing that every day when I drop him off there, they're going to help him grow and develop and help him be the best version of himself he could be. And I want that for any family with a special needs kiddo. So St. Lillian's near and dear to my heart, man. So if you can, if you do give, if you do support charitable organizations, always maybe think about St. Lillian. We'd appreciate that greatly, of course. And a small way you can do that is buy tickets for the raffle, the Calandro's Rare Whiskey Raffle. Okay, let's get back to you. Thad Landry said, Matt, what was Jack Besh's attitude this year? Jack's attitude was great, man. And I've had this conversation with Jack. And I told him this when he was at St. Thomas More and he committed to LSU. I remember having him on my show, and he was short with his answers, not real elaborative. It wasn't really great. He was kind of shy, and he really blossomed in the last 2 years. And I'm not just talking about the ability to do an interview, but just his personality, his confidence, his ability, all that sort of stuff. He's going to do great. And Jack was great, man. It was just a matter of what we said. Like, a new coaching staff came in. They didn't have any loyalties. Jack was, had some injuries and kind of got passed up in fall camp. And when he did get his opportunity, he didn't, really maximize it. And, it's I think moving Kayshawn into the slot took some of those reps away as well. And with Kayshawn coming back, I probably saw the writing on the wall. I mean, I think it's very – I don't want to speak for him, but I'm sure it's very hard for Jack. I mean, both of his uncles played at LSU, and their family loves LSU, and he wants to be a Tiger and all that sort of stuff. But, man, at some point also I can understand having to do what's best for you. So I understand why. But Jack's attitude was good, man. Don't think anything to the contrary, honestly. All right, Tim Forche, what's going on? Rami Kasem said Seven Banks will be back. So I'm not discrediting you there. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I haven't seen confirmation that Seven Banks will be back. I hope he is, but he's also been a guy that that has had injuries throughout his career. He was injured during his time at Ohio State. He was injured, on the opening kickoff of the Auburn game, and cost him really the rest of this season. So it would be great if he's back. But I think you can't say, oh, well, Seven Banks is back, so we don't have to address corner in the portal, because really after Seven Banks, who you don't know his health, you're talking about guys like LaTerrence Welch, Jordan Allen, who actually moved to safety, and then there's one more whose name, it's like a three name, I always forget it, the other cornerback. Jalen Davis Robinson was the other cornerback that they got. So, I mean, you'll have those guys who redshirted. You lose Demarius McGee, Jones. If you get Seven Banks back, do you get Mekhi Garner back? That's a big question. And then you've got some freshmen coming in, but still you've got to have experience at that position. So they're still going to have to go hit the portal and get experience at the cornerback position. All right, Von Blues from Matt. Let's see. Congratulations, T-Bob and Mama. Yes, so for those who are just jumping aboard who missed it when we started, we did start off with the update. I'm solo tonight. T-Bob at home with Quad Bob. That's Bobby Joseph Abear the fourth. Caitlin did an awesome job. Mom and baby are healthy. Baby Abear came on Friday while we were in Atlanta. So T-Bob will be back with us next week, and we're looking forward to that, certainly. But understand why they're doing the family thing and enjoying time at home with his newborn and their growing family. So congrats to the A-Bears for sure. Let's see. Strong Side said, even though Texas men's basketball cost me my 3-game parlay last night, rolling with the outer tonight. By the way, that's your fault. Okay, that's your fault if you parlayed him. That wasn't the play. He gave you 3 college basketball picks. They went 2-1. Texas screwed the pooch. They led by 8 late, blew it, but Otter gave you 3 picks. You decided to parlay them. That's your fault. If you had played them each individually, you would have gone 2-1 and you would have won money last night. So that's your fault, Strong Side. You don't go laying that at the foot of the Otter. The Otter's been in fuego this year. He and his band of merry men and their professional handicappers who give us bets every night on at the end of AFR. For those who aren't familiar, at the end of AFR every day we do a segment called Otter Lock. So Jimmy jumps on. He gives his best bet of the night. So last night, Tuesday night, was 3 college basketball plays. And those plays went 2-1. It's a Strong Side. It's your fault for parlaying it. Let's see. Von Bluesman asks Scone and T. Is there any specific must-get name out of the portal that LSU is trying hard to get? Damn, that's got some heat. But, boy, that's got a lot of boy, that's got a ton of heat, but that has a lot of dark fruit on the finish. Like figs and like black cherries, like dark fruit. Man, that is tasty. That is high proof. I mean, this is 126 and it is hot. 126 proof. It is hot. But, boy, that is a ton of flavor, man. Really good. Really, really good. Shout out to 291 barrel strength, barrel proof single barrel. I've never even heard of it, let alone had it. That's terrific. So, all right, specific name out of the portal. So, look, a lot of people are bringing up Justin Flo. Justin Flo is a former 5-star linebacker, went to Oregon. He's in the portal. I don't know that I would tell you that linebacker is a must in the portal for LSU. Remember, you got Greg Penn back. You got Harold Perkins coming back as freshman All-America, first-team All-SEC. And they did go recruit. And we saw we got to see West Weeks and Colby Fields, a couple of veteran guys that they recruited out of the portal last year to add some veteran depth behind the starters. So you're going to lose Baskerville. You're going to lose Mike Jones, who didn't play a ton this year anyway. And then I would tell you, and also, of course, we got to see Tolan, Demario Tolan, really emerge. And look, he had a back injury, but Brian Kelly has raved about Demario Tolan. Like, privately, he has told people, like, look out for that kid. So I think they're good at linebacker. Now, if you can add a kid that was a former 5-star that may come in, again, if there's a guy that you can add that's like a no doubt and like must take for anybody, then yes, I mean, of course you're going to take that guy. But I don't think that's a primary target. LSU has offered a tight end in the portal. It's a smaller school guy who's gotten a ton of offers. The guy's name is oh hell. Of course, I'm trying to find it. I can't find it offhand. Here it is. Kyle Morlock. He's out of Shorter University. But if you go look at Kyle Morlock, like, he's gotten offers from everybody. So he's from a Division II school or FCS. I don't know what Shorter is, what the hell it is. But Kyle Morlock, he's 6'7", 250, 2-time All-American at that level. West Virginia, Auburn, Wisconsin. Go look at his Twitter. Oregon State, Purdue, Kansas, Oklahoma, LSU, Tulane, Illinois, Florida State, Liberty, Pitt, NC State, Missouri, Georgia Southern, Tennessee. You get it. Like, he has offers from everyone. So this is a dude who's a smaller school tight end, but he's a 2-time All-American. He's blown up, and he's going to go play another year at the higher level of ball. So, a must-get name out of the portal. I don't know that I would say that necessarily, that I'm there yet, that there's a must-get, but there's some targets that are pretty obvious. All right, let's see. Music said Nuss is going to rock Purdue. Quite honestly, I don't know anything. All right, so I'm not telling you I know this definitively, but I'm not convinced that Garrett Nussmeier is going to be on LSU's roster when LSU plays Purdue. I'm not saying he won't be, so don't misunderstand me. I don't want anybody to run out there saying Scone said Nuss is transferring. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that if Jaden Daniels returns, and I think there's a very good opportunity that he will, that Garrett Nussmeier leaves. And it's not that I know anything. I'm very comfortable in saying this. that I know Garrett Nussmeier has considered, like he has at least talked about and considered a transfer. I am very comfortable saying it, but that should come as no surprise. Like, that's the nature of the quarterback position in 2022. Guys don't stay. They leave. If they don't play, they leave. So I think the bigger question today is whether or not Jayden Daniels is back. And from Jayden's perspective, I can tell you, if he doesn't feel like he's developing here, then he leaves. He either goes pro or transfers someone else for a final season. But if he's confident in the progress he's made over the course of this season and what LSU has coming back, and Jayden returns, then I would probably think Garrett Nussmeier does transfer and is not even playing for LSU in the Citrus Bowl. Now, to your point about Nuss rocking Purdue, I'm going to say this again. We haven't really recapped the SEC championship game, which I don't know if we want to dig deep into that again. But if you are going to acknowledge the fact that Garrett Nussmeier played well in the second half against Georgia, which he did, you also have to acknowledge the circumstance. The fact that he entered the game down 25, he had nothing to lose, he could grip it and rip it, and he threw a bad interception. He threw a very bad interception into double coverage, and that's been his bugaboo. You can be enamored with the yards, you still lost the game by 20. And I could also point out that when the guy came in against Southern, he threw 2 awful interceptions, including a pick 6. You have to acknowledge, if you're going to acknowledge the good, you got to acknowledge the bad as well. And the bad is the reason that he didn't play this year. The bad is the reason he lost the job. Jayden Daniels had experience. He protected the football, and his dynamic running ability was your offense for the first half of the season. So I know, listen, the Nuss Bus people were super loud in fall camp, and I told y'all from the time Jayden Daniels committed here, damn it, no, and not many of y'all are gonna want to give me this kudo, but it's true. I was the only person from the day that Jayden Daniels signed who said that's going to be your starting quarterback. And I kept hearing Miles Brennan, I kept hearing Nuss Bus, kept hearing all that shit, and I kept telling you that Jayden Daniels didn't come here to be a backup, and he didn't. And there was a reason that he ended up being the starter. And I'm telling you right now, man, there's a reason Garrett Nussmeier didn't play, and he's got a lot a lot of bad habits that he's got to purge from himself if he's actually going to progress and become a really good college quarterback. Chance Babin said, get your dad on here tonight. So that's a reference to AFR. We called my dad on the show today. Danny Cardenas and I were going back and forth about the LHSA Division I Select State Championship game. So Catholic got eliminated, and Brother Martin's going to play John Curtis. So I asked Dan if he was glad Catholic lost so he didn't have to get that smoke. And he tried to play tough, but the long story short is that my dad went to Brother Martin, was class of 1971, and we were having conversations about if Brother Martin had ever won one before. Apparently they did in the 71 season, so right after my dad graduated. I don't think many of you actually care about that, so I will move on. Again, take a quick second, please, and smash that like button if you're on YouTube. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. Wesley Bourgeois, what's up, who said, why wouldn't Jayden Daniels come back? Yeah, so we just sort of talked about that a little bit. And I really think that this is a conversation Jayden's going to have with his mom, advisors, about what is his potential draft stock if he leaves, and if he comes back, does he feel like he can improve it? That's the question. Robert Williams, Scone, who didn't play a ton this year? A lot of guys didn't play a ton this year. Guys who didn't play a ton who you think might next year. The one that I would tell you would be LaTerrence Welch. You need cornerbacks to emerge, and I think he's the best candidate to do it of the guys that redshirted this year. I'll be fascinated to see what they do with Derek Davis. Derek Davis came here, was an amazing high school running back, but came here as a safety, and they redshirted him this year, but he played running back against UAB out of necessity. He looked really damn good, and Brian Kelly even said should have moved him to running back sooner. And considering the lack of depth that you have at that position, although you do have 2 signees coming in, Derek Davis as a running back ain't a bad idea. Ray Greer, whose decision will make you sing neck again. That was good stuff. Yeah, so we when we found out on Monday that Kayshawn was coming back, I'm telling you, man, I was honestly surprised. I did not expect that. I legitimately did not expect Kayshawn coming back. I knew last week Jack Best was leaving. I mean, that was the conversation that they had. Family had made that decision, so that didn't surprise me. I'm telling you, Nussmeier's had the conversations about leaving. I think that what Jaden does kind of depends if that domino falls. I did not see Kayshawn coming back. I mean, I just have assumed all along that he was gone. So I didn't see it coming. So we played neck and celebrated and had a good time on Monday with that decision. If Ojulari comes back, I'll be equally as surprised with Kayshawn. So I was thinking about this, and maybe y'all have a name too, but I'm trying to think of a player deciding to come back that was that big of a surprise. Kevin Falk coming back for his senior year, in '98 was a massive surprise. Alan Faneca was in that same year and decided to go pro and was a first-round pick. But Falk, I'll tell you, Dorsey in '07, he would have been a first-round pick had he left after the '06 season. He was a dominant All-American that year. It's rare to see him, man. And LSU's gotten guys back. Like Tre'Davious White coming back for 2016. Turned himself into a first-round pick. Wanted to graduate from school. That was a pleasant surprise. I don't know that it was the biggest surprise to Kayshawn Boutte. All right. Let's see, Strong side. Do you think the NCAA will put a limit on how many times an athlete can transfer after the number of transfers we've seen in the portal? No, but keep in mind the rule is you get a one-time transfer waiver, essentially. You can only transfer one time and be immediately eligible unless you're a graduate. Then as a graduate transfer, you can go wherever, whenever. So that's like JT Daniels, right? JT Daniels transferred from USC to Georgia and was immediately eligible at Georgia, but stayed there 2 years. He was a graduate and went to West Virginia, was eligible immediately because he was a graduate. Well, now leaving West Virginia, wherever he goes, he's eligible as a graduate. So no, there is still just a one-time transfer rule. Dustin Blanchard Gordon got it done. Cageonomics, what's up? Let's see. With players like Kayshawn getting NIL money now, they can come back and improve their stock while getting paid. But yes, but Dustin, you got to understand this. And I think this is very important for you all to know. Whatever number you think that Kayshawn got from Gordon or whatever number you think it is, I promise you, it's less than you think it is. I'm telling you. Like, the players that are making, significant, like six-figure and higher NIL money, those are guys with national awareness. And just understand, that is a small number. That is like maybe a handful. That is Bryce Young and Quinn Ewers and C.J. Stroud, and it is a microscopic number of players that legitimately, it's really good. Yeah. No, I'm serious. I was talking about it earlier. That could legitimately make that kind of money. Kayshawn ain't making $1 million coming back to LSU. I'll tell you that much. So just, yes, they can make money, but it's not the kind of money that you think they're making. All right. Keep those comments coming. Sorry, I lost my spot on the feed, so I apologize. I'm trying to get to all your comments. All right, Lewis G. Any worries about Walker leaving now that Besh is gone? Are they tight? So yes, they're tight, but no, I don't have any worries about Walker leaving, especially not now. I will tell you, so when Walker committed, and look, and some of this stuff I'm just reiterating from Jamie Howard, Walker's dad, who came on AFR and has said a lot of this stuff on the record. I think when Ed Ogeron was fired, they wanted to see who the head coach was going to be. And barring it being a completely stunning, awful hire, Walker was going to come to LSU. And it was Brian Kelly who was recruiting Walker heavily at Notre Dame. So that was very obvious that was going to happen. And I'm going to relay a conversation that Jamie had with me, and I've told this before, so if you've heard it, I apologize, but I'm going to say it again. And you have to know Jamie Howard too. Like this is the way I've always said. Like, he's not LeVar Ball. Like, he's not the guy that's going to go hyping up his kid. He's not that guy. He's the opposite of that guy. He's a great man, great dad, all of that stuff. But he's not the guy that's just going to go like my son, my son, my son. But Jamie said this. He said, look, here's what I know. Even if Walker never plays a down at LSU, they will be a better team because he's on the team. Like, he's that much of a team guy, a leader, all that stuff. I think you also have a situation where Jamie had to play as a freshman and learn the rigors of playing early at a place like LSU as a freshman. And so I think they are content with Walker waiting his turn. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to wait 4 or 5 years to play, but I don't think I have virtually no concern about Walker Howard leaving this offseason at all. All right. Less is more. Burrow guy doesn't ring a bell. Can you be more specific? Did he have a nickname he went by? All right. Trying to get to a few more of these. Yeah, there was a comment here about LSU needing to get a Burrow statue made. Yes, I agree. Keep in mind, if you go look at the LSU like Hall of Fame requirements to get into the Hall of Fame, or for jersey retirement, or for statue dedication, there are very specific requirements. I'm trying to pull it up right here so I can read them specifically to you, but typically you have to wait 5 years. I don't know, because I was looking at this yesterday for a different reason. All right, my apologies. Here we go. Here you go. So the statue nomination, here are the requirements. I'll read them for you. For a statue nomination, former student athlete must have at least 2 varsity letters. Former student athlete has to have earned a degree. Former student athlete must have completed intercollegiate competition a minimum of 10 years prior to nomination. So for Burrow to get a statue, it couldn't happen until after 2029. So that's why it hasn't happened yet. Is because you have to. There's a 10-year wait period. So for jersey retirement, it's a 5-year period from the completion of your career. Like I've always said, Glenn Dorsey finished his career in 2007. His 72 should have been up in the rafters in 2012. Like as soon as it was able, it should have happened. I think they should have a waiver for Burrow. It should be done already. But that's why they're waiting. No, see, Dustin Blanchard said Colorado bourbon. No thanks. Stick to the Kentucky stuff. No, I'm gonna disagree with you, Dustin. And it's not to say that Kentucky bourbon isn't the GOAT, but there's plenty of great stuff. Like Old Elk is out of Colorado, and it's amazing. Like if someone said I have $50 to spend, what bourbon should I go buy? I'm gonna tell you, Four Roses Single Barrel or Old Elk. Like that's what I'm gonna tell you. If you have 50 to spend, like you want to spend $50 on a whiskey that's worth it, that's what I would tell you to go buy. And Old Elk's from Colorado. This Old Elk Infinity Blend was my favorite new pour of the year. Was Old Elk Infinity Blend. So you're wrong, man. You're just dead wrong if you think that you're pigeonholed to Colorado. Look, a Smoke Wagon is out of Las Vegas. That's magnificent. There's so much good stuff from all over. Hell, Whistle Pig is from Vermont. Now that's a rye, but it's from Vermont. That's magnificent stuff. So you got to be able to think outside of just Kentucky, man. There's great stuff all over the place. All right. Cliff Nelson. Where's Cliff? Is he outside or at the bar? Cliff's here. I don't know where he went. Cliff was outside smoking a stogie. I don't know where he went. Maybe he went to the pisser. Oh, no, he's standing right there. Said it has some heat on it, but it's pretty good. Oliver Twist on Wednesday, people. Good time for sure. Yeah, y'all come by and hang out with us. All right, a couple more here. We got about 15 minutes to go. If you're just jumping aboard, thanks for being here. No T-Bob. He'll be back next week. Fire away with comments. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Again, another reminder for those who just joined us as well. The Calandro's 11th annual Rare Whiskey Raffle is mañana, Thursday, 6:30 p.m., streamed live on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Go get your tickets at either Calandro's location. The ticket sales cut off at 4:30 Central Time on Thursday. You have to buy them in person. So if you live out of town, get someone you know who lives in Baton Rouge to go get your tickets for you. 122 bottles, part of the raffle. And then there is a watch party here at Oliver Twist tomorrow night. There's about 10 different bottles that they're going to be offering break-even pours on from here at Oliver Twist tomorrow. There's going to be 8 different vendors whose reps will be here. So, like, I know this is one, 291. Their rep will be here tomorrow. So lots of swag and samples and all that good stuff and great food. So y'all, if you're looking for a place to hang out tomorrow, make sure you make it right here at Oliver Twist. Okay, Darren Gagnon, your estimate on how large the signing class will be. So I think they will sign 25 high school players, and I think there will be 8 to 10 transfer portal guys. So I think you're going to be looking somewhere in the low to mid 30s. So somewhere 30 to 35 prospects, I think, is where you're looking at. Kevin Miller, how does the running back position look going into 2023? So John Emery has eligibility if he wants to come back. Noah Kane can come back for a super senior season. You're going to get Armani Goodwin back off of injury as well. And Josh Williams has another year. So all 4 of those guys could theoretically return. And then you're adding your 2 freshman signees. And then Derek Davis could play running back as well. So your numbers at running back next year should be dramatically better than they are this year. Nookie, what's good? Dustin Blanchard, that was incredible. Cannot wait to him explain it. About what? About what? I missed the comment. My apologies. Repost your question if I missed it. My apologies. I don't see the question. I'm doing this solo, man. I'm doing the best I can. Let's see, El Nino Brown, bonehead move by Brian Kelly to give Jaden Daniels QB1 ahead of Nuss instead of leaving the competition open. The competition would be open. No, hold on. I want to be very clear about this. So go back, if you're going back to what I said earlier, that Daniels didn't come here to sit. Brian Kelly wanted a quarterback with experience, which he got, wanted a quarterback with mobility, which he got, and needed because the offensive line was a sieve. And as we talked about throughout fall camp, when it was an open competition, the thing that was going to hold Garrett Nussmeier back, which ultimately did, is his poor decision-making. I spelled this out for you. And, like, some of you, I get it that sometimes, like, you'll marry yourself to whatever your idea is and whatever you want to be your truth or reality. And then you have the luxury of just going to hide in a corner and never showing your face again when you're wrong. But we were watching a scrimmage in fall camp, and Nussmeier and Daniels were alternating with the first team, and both were moving the football, and both looked good. And Nussmeier got into a goal-to-go situation, and it was a low snap, and he picked it up, and he ran, and Mason Smith was chasing him, and he ran backwards to about the 30-yard line, rolling out, and just threw it against his body into the end zone. And I think it was Jay Ward who had hit him in the hands and just dropped it. Should have been intercepted in the end zone. Like, that's the thing that Garrett Nussmeier has not been able to purge out of himself as a young player yet. And until he does, he's Jarrett Lee. And Jay Lee became a really good college football player. But as a redshirt freshman, he had, 8 pick sixes? Had 16 interceptions, whatever the number was, because he was careless with the football. And that's what Garrett Nussmeier is right now. He's got a good arm, son of a coach, knows the game, athletic, all that stuff. He's got a high ceiling and tremendous ability. I'm not saying that. But for the same reason why in 2017 Ed Ogeron went with Danny Etling instead of Miles Brennan, when Brennan was bigger, taller, stronger arm, better skill set, higher ceiling, all that sort of stuff than Etling. It's because he went with the veteran guy because he knew he was going to take his lumps with the young guy, and he couldn't stand to sit there and lose games. So, I don't think anybody watching this right now would have been super content with LSU just playing the young guy and going 5-7 just to get the young guy experience. It's just not how it rolls here. You're LSU. You're not Colorado. Deion's inherited a job where they were 1-11 last year. Even if they go 3-9 next year, 4-7 or 4-8, they're better off. All right. Couple more. 82 Atlantic said not an LSUan, but Andrew Luck returning to Stanford was a surprise. Not only Andrew Luck, look, I'm going to tell you another one who hurt himself was Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley, the year he came out, or he could have come out of USC and would have been, if not the number 1 overall pick, he would have been a top 5 pick. Like, he would have been one of those first quarterbacks taken in the draft. Decided to return to school. I think Matt Barkley was a 4th or 5th rounder. But that's one that hurt himself. That certainly hurt himself by going back to school. Let's see. Barkley ended up being he was the 4th rounder of the Eagles in 2013. But had he come out in 2012, he would have been one of the first players taken in the draft. Darren Gagnon, any Citrus Bowl remotes? I don't think so, Darren. I don't know that we're going. SEC Championship was the big trip, and honestly, had they ended up in the Sugar Bowl or in the Orange Bowl, we probably would have done that. But sometimes you have to spell what the fan interest is, and let's just be honest, man. LSU's been to the Citrus Bowl in 2009. They went in 16 and 17 back-to-back years, now the 3rd time in 7 seasons. And LSU's going right back there to start the season next year against Florida State in, by the way, what's likely going to be a top 10 matchup. So I would fully expect we'll be in Orlando next year for the opener against Florida State, but no, not for the Citrus Bowl. I don't think we're planning on making the trip. So, right. Yeah, Leinart going back to school was a big thing, but he still ended up a first-round pick. Keem said, preach, Matt. I guess you're talking about quarterbacks. Look, man, here's the thing. With respect to the quarterback competition or conversation, I think it's very hard sometimes because there's this strong desire for people like to be right. Sometimes hard for people to recognize like both dudes are on your team. Like Daniels and Nussmeier, you can cheer from both, man. Like if Nussmeier develops into an awesome player, phenomenal. That's fantastic. But I think you can also recognize the reason that you were 9-3, the reason that you won the SEC West was Jayden Daniels. I mean, you don't have the success you do with Garrett Nussmeier playing quarterback. I mean, some of those rallies you had, like where you stayed in the game, then Jayden's feet were what broke through, like the Auburn game where his ability to run is what got you back in the second half after the Baskerville scoop and score. Ole Miss, the way he played against Bama was darn near flawless. I mean, you're not 9-3 in the West Champs without him. So the guy accounted for 65% of your offense. Can he improve? Absolutely he can improve. And I want him to improve. I want him to improve throwing the ball downfield and stretching the field and taking advantage of the wide receivers and all that stuff. But shit, Malik Neighbors had a great year. Dude had 900 yards receiving. You got a lot. You spread the ball around. You got a lot of guys involved. So, yeah, there's room for improvement. But you can cheer for both guys. Like, it doesn't have to be, as an LSU fan, you're shitting on Jayden Daniels because you wanted Nussmeier to get the job. Like, that ain't it, man. Because then you end up, like, cheering against your team, which just sucks. Any more? Let's see, we got about 8 minutes left. The Cam Thomas question here. That's crazy. I just scrolled all the way to the bottom and probably went past 1 hour heating and air, praying to Coldest Crawford transfers. We'll get that NIL deal done. I'll tell you that much. Let's see. WU, Poppy 39, what about Hilton? Worried about him. I haven't heard that. If you're talking about portal, I haven't heard that. Like, I haven't heard that Chris Hilton was thinking about the portal. I'll tell you this. Sometimes coaches tell you things without telling you things. If you go back and listen to Brian Kelly's press conference to start spring football, a couple of times he, unprovoked, brought up Chris Hilton. You know, Chris Hilton has, I mean, you'll know this, he's got world-class speed. He was just a raw receiver coming to LSU. He was a fast guy, just ran past everybody in high school. Learned the route tree, learn crisp routes, like develop as a receiver instead of just a fast dude catching the football, he could be special. And I think they recognize that in Chris Hilton. So I'm excited about that, man. I'm excited to see Hilton healthy next year. And it made a lot of sense for him to shut it down and get the surgery so that he could be healed and ready to roll for spring and really look toward next year as his standout breakout opportunity, whereas he wasn't really even, like, he could have kept running out there at practice every day, injured, put off surgery to the offseason, but then you'd potentially miss spring, and he wasn't going to play this year anyway. Like, he wasn't getting into the rotation this year anyway. So I get it, man. I thought it was I thought it was a good decision. I think he'll be back. I don't have any reason to believe he won't be. All right, a couple more. Music's at a top 10 matchup. Laughing. You don't think that LSU and Florida State will be a preseason top 10 matchup next year? Okay, like let's look at this. Florida State and LSU both went 9-3 this year. I believe Florida State's going to win their bowl game. And Jordan Travis announced he's coming back for Florida State next year. We'll see what happens with LSU's quarterback situation. But before LSU lost to Texas A&M, LSU was fifth. LSU was fifth. Well, I guess sixth in the AP, but fifth in the playoff rankings. LSU was a top 10 team. If you beat A&M, you beat a 4-loss team, you're going into the SEC championship game as the fifth-ranked team in the country. And you lose that, you're still in the top 10. So I don't know why that's a far-off, like, laughable notion. LSU beats Purdue, which I think they will. And, man, I think Florida State, especially getting Jordan Travis back this year after the standout season, I'm not telling you that they're going to finish next season ranked in the top 10. I don't know that they will. But when you're trying to project how teams are going to be, and that's how rankings happen in the preseason, yeah, a team that was 9-3 this year that has its senior quarterback coming back for another season. Florida State is ranked 13th in the country right now. I mean, you've got two teams just hovering around the top 15 that are, and if LSU gets Daniels back, you're going to be talking about, fuck yeah, dude. I mean, Florida State, they lost 3 games in a row to Wake, NC State, and Clemson against ranked teams, but then they won 5 in a row to finish the season, beat Florida. They're playing Oklahoma in the bowl game, who sucks shit, and who knows if they're even going to be up for it. And you got Jordan Travis coming back? Yeah, like, why is that laughable? I don't know why that's you. Oh, you don't see, he says, I don't see Florida State being top 10. Like, you're high. Like, they're ranked 13th in the country right now. They're going to beat Oklahoma in the bowl game and probably finish somewhere around the top 10. Like, that's not a far-fetched fucking idea, man. And they're getting their quarterback back. I mean, it's actually really likely. It's maybe less likely for LSU, who's got a 4th loss, got blown out by Georgia, lost to A&M to finish the season. Like, LSU is the one that kind of took a little tick down. All right. Let's see. Von Bluesman asked Scone T, is there any chance BJ will stay at LSU? I didn't think there was a chance that Kayshawn was staying, so I would never say never, but I think BJ Ojolari is going to be a first-round draft pick. So it's hard to imagine him coming back for another season. I think Brian Kelly and his staff certainly have something to sell after the way this season went. Now you get Kayshawn coming back. I mean, you could sell it, but I also know, I know one of LSU's targets in the portal is an edge. I mean, you're losing Ali Gay, you're losing B.J. Ojolari. They're assuming they're losing B.J. Ojolari. They are looking for an edge rusher. So, yeah. All right. Do you think Tulane will make a move to the Big 12 in the near future if they continue to have success? Maybe, but look, if that was going to happen, it would have happened in this most recent move. The Big 12, is adding Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, and BYU. They scouted all of the American Athletic Conference. They could have had Tulane already. The problem is Tulane has no brand. And people say, well, they're in New Orleans, you recruit a market. But, LSU is a bigger team in New Orleans than Tulane is. So Tulane just doesn't have the brand, the awareness, the appeal. I mean, this is a nice season for them, and congrats for it. I'm not downplaying it. But, you've seen, you saw Western Michigan be the G5 representative in the New Year Six when PJ Fleck was there. And, like, what the fuck is Western Michigan now? You know, it's like sometimes you have a nice one-off like that, but, you know, the teams that kind of consistently did that and have consistently done that are the ones that maybe got the look. I mean, hell, Boise State's had more on-field success. When you're talking about adding a team to a conference, it's all about can they grow the pie enough to warrant bringing them in, because if not, then you're divvying everyone a smaller piece of the pie. Like, adding them has to grow the pie enough to where everybody gets a bigger slice. That's why adding Texas and Oklahoma matters for the SEC. That's why the Big Ten adding USC and UCLA, adding the Los Angeles market matters for them. For the Big 12, adding Tulane wouldn't. I honestly, for the Big 12, I don't know that adding Houston, Cincinnati, Central Florida, and BYU actually does what they're hoping it will do. But time will tell. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for us here on Scone and T. Thank y'all so much for watching. Shout out to Oliver Twist here in Baton Rouge. Phenomenal spot. Oliver Twist tomorrow is hosting the Calandro's 11th annual Rare Whiskey Raffle watch party. So if you're looking for something to do tomorrow night, Thursday night, come here to Oliver Twist. They've got break-even bottles, Blanton's Eagle Rare, Weller Special Reserve, Elijah Craig 18. Some great stuff, man. Great stuff, break-even prices on Thursday for the Calandro's raffle. And if you haven't done so yet, please go by either Calandro's location. Pick up your raffle tickets. Raffle ticket sell time cuts off tomorrow at 4:30 Central, on Thursday at 4:30 Central, so depending on when you're watching this. Okay, thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it greatly. Next week, we're right back here on Wednesday, and T-Bob's back. We're looking forward to seeing the big fella again. Y'all have an awesome night. Scone and T. Peace.